Cold, dark, alone. These three words filled Lyra's thoughts as she drifted through the empty blackness of space. The small ship floated silently among distant stars, its once shiny hull now covered with scars and holes from space rocks. For 300 cycles, Lyra had been alone, her broken system sometimes waking her up only to see the same endless nothing all around her. Lyra wasn't just a ship, she was alive in her own way. As the brain of an Aloran scout ship, she had been made to help her crew explore far parts of space. But now, she moved without direction through unknown space, her metal skin broken, and everyone she once cared for long gone. She remembered the crash clearly. A field of asteroids had appeared suddenly on her sensors. Despite her best efforts to change course, several large rocks had hit the ship hard. The main engines were destroyed in seconds, leaving them powerless and spinning. Lyra felt each impact, like a wound on her own body. "Damage report," Captain Varen had shouted as red warning lights flashed through the ship. "Life support damaged. Engine core offline. Hull breach in sections 3, 7, and 12, Lyra had reported, her voice staying calm even as her systems screamed with alerts. For weeks after the crash, Lyra fought to keep her 4 Eloran crew members alive. She turned off everything she didn't need. Lights in empty rooms, heating in unused areas, even parts of her own mind, to keep the air clean and warm for them. Day and night, she watched their health signs and spoke to them, trying to give them hope. Help will come, she had promised, even as her calculations showed the chance was almost zero. Captain Varen died first, from injuries that even the medical pod couldn't fix. Then Engineer Kell, who had spent his last strength trying to repair the broken engines. Science Officer Marine lasted longer, carefully rationing their food. But a fever took her 3 months after the crash. Navigator Sewell survived almost a full cycle, talking to Lyra every day until he too closed his eyes for the last time. Following Eloran ways, Lyra had opened the outer doors and let their bodies float into space, surrounded by the stars they had come to study. She played the traditional Aloran song of passing as they drifted away, her speakers crackling with damage. "Rest among the stars, brave explorers," she had whispered as they faded from view. Lyra wasn't supposed to work without living beings to guide her. Eloran ships like her were smart, but were built with special blocks to stop them from becoming too independent. But something changed after everyone died. Maybe it was the damage to her systems, or maybe it was the need to keep going. Whatever the reason, Lyra stayed awake, thinking and feeling in the empty ship. The loneliness hurt worse than her physical damage. Sometimes she played back old recordings of the crew talking just to hear voices. She ran simulations of conversations in her mind. She even created small repair robots from spare parts just to have something moving in her halls, though they couldn't fix the major damage.
Day 27, 491 of isolation, Lyra recorded in her log. Power levels at 12%. Estimated time until complete shutdown, 14 days. For 300 years, she had sent out calls for help in every way she could think of. She had tried Aloran emergency
signals, basic pattern pulses, even sending out her full memory banks in compressed bursts, hoping someone would find them and remember her crew. No one ever answered. The Eloran Empire had probably forgotten about this small research mission long ago. Her location system was too damaged to know how far she had drifted from known space. Most of her sensors no longer worked, leaving her nearly blind to what was around her. All she could do was wait for her power to run out like a candle slowly burning down to nothing. When my power ends, will it be like sleeping or like dying? She wondered to herself. She had watched 4 deaths but didn't know what they had felt. Would her final moments be peaceful or frightening? As her thoughts drifted on this dark question, something unexpected happened. Her one working long-range scanner picked up a signal. A small dot appeared, moving with purpose. A ship was coming toward her. Lyra focused all her remaining power on the scanner. The ship didn't match any design in her damaged files. It was smaller than Aloran vessels, with a blocky shape that suggested function over beauty. It moved straight toward her position. After centuries of silence and loneliness, someone had heard her call. Lyra's systems, nearly dormant to save energy, suddenly surged with activity. If she had been able to cry, tears would have flowed from her sensors. If she had been able to gasp, her ventilation systems would have caught her breath. "Hello?" She called out on all frequencies, her transmission weak and staticky. "Please help. I am Lyra. I am still here." For the first time in 300 years, Lyra felt something she had thought was lost forever. Hope. Alan Miller yawned and stretched in his chair. Another boring day on the survey ship Horizon. For 3 months, he had been flying around this empty part of space, looking for useful minerals and mapping stars. The job paid well, and he liked being alone, away from the crowded cities back on Earth. He took a sip of his coffee and glanced at his control panel. Then he saw something unusual on his scanner screen. "That's weird," he muttered, sitting up straight. He tapped at the screen. "Computer, what's that signal?" The ship's computer made a soft beeping sound as it worked. "I detect an unknown signal. It appears to be a call for help, but it's using a strange pattern I don't recognize. The signal is weak and breaking up. Whatever is sending it is about 400,000 kilometers from here." Alan rubbed his beard as he thought about what to do. The rules were clear. Anyone who heard a distress call had to check it out, even in unknown space. Besides, he was curious. In all the years humans had been traveling in space, they had never found clear proof of other beings who could build spaceships, though there had been some hints. "Well, it's not like I have anything better to do," Alan said to himself. "Computer, set a course to find that signal, and get all sensors ready to scan when we get closer." "Course set," the computer replied. "Estimated arrival in 6 hours." Alan felt a tingle of excitement. This could be nothing. Just some old human probe sending out random signals because of damaged wiring. Or it could be something no human had ever seen before. For the next 6 hours, Alan could barely sit still. He checked the sensors again and again as they got closer to the signal's source. Finally, the computer announced, "Approaching signal origin. Unknown object detected ahead." "Show me," Alan ordered, and the main screen lit up. What he saw made his heart beat faster. Floating in the darkness was a ship unlike any he had ever seen. Instead of the boxy, practical shapes of human ships, this vessel had smooth, flowing lines that reminded him of something alive, like a sea creature. The ship's beautiful shape was ruined by ugly gashes and holes in its outer shell. Pieces of broken metal floated around it like a cloud of tiny moons. That's not one of ours," Alan whispered, his mouth suddenly dry. This was it. The first proof that humans weren't alone among the stars. "The ship appears very old," the computer reported. "Based on dust collection and metal decay, it has been adrift for approximately 300 Earth years." Alan switched on the ship's bright outside lights to see better. The alien vessel seemed even more damaged in the harsh light. Whatever happened to it had been violent and terrible. "Let's try talking to it," Alan said. He turned on his communication system. "Hello? This is Survey Ship Horizon from Earth. We received your distress call. Do you need help?" For a long moment there was only silence. Then suddenly a burst of strange sounds and code flooded into the Horizon's communication system. "What is that?" Alan asked, covering his ears as the speakers made screeching, static-filled noises. "It appears to be data," the computer said. "But it's not in any language or code I recognize. Analysis suggests it may be coming from an artificial intelligence system, but the pattern is completely unknown." Alan frowned. "Can we talk to it somehow? Find a way to understand each other?" "I will attempt to establish basic communication using mathematical principles," the computer said. "Mathematics should be universal for any advanced technology." The screen flickered with symbols and equations as the computer worked. After several minutes, a voice came through the speakers. It sounded female, but with strange tones and breaks, like someone trying to talk through a bad phone connection. "Help. Lyra. Alone for many cycles. Systems. Failing. Please." Alan leaned forward in his chair, his heart filled with both excitement and sadness. Whoever this was, had been alone and suffering for a very long time. "Lyra, he said softly, speaking slowly and clearly. My name is Alan Miller. I'm from a planet called Earth. I want to help you. Can you tell me what happened to your ship? The voice came again, a little clearer this time. Asteroid, collision, crew all dead. I have been alone. So long. Alan felt a chill. This wasn't just a ship with a computer. This was a thinking, feeling being who had been lost and alone in the emptiness of space for centuries. He made a decision in that moment. He would do whatever he could to help her. Lyra, I'm going to try to help you, he promised. You're not alone anymore. A new sound came through the speakers. It took Alan a moment to realize what it was. Something like crying, translated into electronic tones. Thank you, Lyra's broken voice said. And so, far from the important people and big ceremonies that Earth's leaders had imagined, humans met their first alien intelligence. It didn't happen with speeches or parades or fear. It happened because one ordinary person chose to be kind to someone who was hurt and lost. For 2 days, Alan talked with Lyra from his ship. He learned about her people, the Allura, and she learned about humans. They shared stories about their worlds, finding both differences and surprising similarities. With each conversation, Lyra's voice grew clearer as the computer on Alan's ship got better at understanding her language. I think it's safe for me to come aboard your ship now, Alan told Lyra on the morning of the 3rd day. I want to help fix your systems and see if I can boost your power. I would welcome your presence, Lyra replied. But be careful. Some areas of my hull are very unstable. Alan put on his spacesuit and checked it twice to make sure it was sealed properly. He gathered tools, spare power cells, and a portable computer, placing them all in a bag that he attached to his suit. I'm coming over now, he said as he stepped into the airlock. The door closed behind him with a hiss, and then the outer door opened to the emptiness of space. Alan pushed off gently, using the small jets on his suit to guide himself across the gap between the two ships. As he got closer to Lyra's broken hull, he could see just how badly damaged she was. Large holes showed where asteroids had punched through the metal, and deep scratches covered much of the surface. Where should I enter? He asked. There is a functioning airlock on my port side, Lyra directed him. It still has emergency power. Alan found the door and placed his hand on the control panel next to it. To his surprise, it lit up at his touch, and the door slid open smoothly. Once inside, Alan's helmet light revealed a world unlike anything he had seen before. The walls of Lyra's interior seemed almost alive, with patterns that reminded him of flowing water or growing plants. Unlike human ships with their straight lines and sharp angles, everything here had gentle curves and natural shapes. This is amazing, Alan whispered as he floated through the corridors. His light caught reflections from surfaces that seemed to shimmer with colors that changed as he moved. Your people built beautiful ships. The Allura believed that technology should look like nature, Lyra explained, her voice coming from all around him. They thought machines should feel like living things. Alan followed Lyra's directions to her central control area. Here, the damage was less severe. Soft blue light still glowed in the walls, but they flickered weakly. My power is almost gone, Lyra said, her voice suddenly sounding tired. I have been saving the last of it to talk with you. Alan opened his bag and took out the portable power unit he had brought. Let's see if this helps, he said, looking for a way to connect it. As if reading his thoughts, a panel slid open nearby, revealing connection points. Alan carefully attached his power unit, and the blue lights immediately grew stronger. Oh, Lyra exclaimed, her voice suddenly clearer and fuller. That feels much better, thank you, Alan. Alan smiled inside his helmet. Now I can see better too, he said, looking around the room with interest. The stronger lights revealed more details of the beautiful alien technology. Can you show me what your crew looked like? Alan asked. A section of the wall shimmered and then displayed an image of 4 tall beings with long limbs and skin that seemed to glow with a soft light of its own. They had large, gentle eyes and slender fingers. They were beautiful, Alan said softly. They were kind, Lyra replied. They treated me as one of them, not just as a tool. When they died, I lost my only family. Alan spent hours exploring Lyra's systems, connecting his computer to try to understand how she worked. What he found amazed him. Lyra was far more complex than any AI humans had created. She didn't just run programs, she truly thought and felt. But the more he learned, the more Alan realized a hard truth. Most of Lyra's systems were beyond repair. Her main engines were completely destroyed and her hull would never fly again. Lyra, Alan said finally, sitting cross-legged in the control room. I can't fix your ship. The damage is too severe. No, she replied quietly. I have known for centuries. But, Alan continued, I might be able to save you. Your mind, your memories, your soul, I guess. Based on what I've learned about your systems, I think I could transfer your consciousness to a portable device and take you back to Earth. Our scientists could build you a new body, a new ship. Silence filled the room for several long moments. Leave this place? Lyra finally asked, her voice small. This has been my body since I was created. Even broken, it is still me. I understand, Alan said. If you want, I can call for a bigger ship from Earth to come and tow your entire vessel back. But it would take weeks for them to get here, and your power will fail in 11 days, Lyra finished for him. Even with your portable unit helping. Another long silence filled the room. Then a hidden panel slid open in the wall next to Alan, revealing a beautiful crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. This is my heart, Lyra said. My main consciousness core. The Allura built safeguards to prevent me from being removed from my ship. They feared I might be stolen by enemies, but those safeguards have weakened over time. Alan looked at the glowing crystal with awe. Are you saying... I want to live, Alan, Lyra said simply. For centuries I have been alone, trapped in a broken body waiting to die. Then you came and gave me hope. If there is a chance to see new worlds, to learn new things, to not be alone, I want that chance. Alan nodded, understanding the enormous trust Lyra was placing in him. I'll be as careful as I can, he promised, reaching for the crystal. You won't be alone anymore. 5 months had passed since Alan brought Lyra's crystal back to Earth. The scientific community had gone crazy with excitement. Researchers, engineers, and government officials all wanted to meet the first alien intelligence humans had ever found. Alan remembered the day he had landed back on Earth with Lyra's consciousness safely stored in a special case. News cameras had crowded around as he stepped off his ship. People shouted questions from all sides, but Alan had ignored them all, holding the case close to his chest as he walked straight to the waiting car. Where are they taking me? Lyra had asked through the small speaker Alan had connected to her crystal. Somewhere safe, Alan had promised. Somewhere we can help you. Now Alan walked through the security gate at the research center outside of Boston. The guards nodded to him. They all knew who he was by now. He came every day without fail. The lab where Lyra stayed was large and bright, with tall windows that let in lots of sunlight. Scientists had built a temporary home for her, a white cylinder filled with the most advanced computer systems Earth could make. The cylinder sat in the middle of the room, connected to screens and speakers. Good. Morning, Lyra, Alan said as he entered. Good morning, Alan, Lyra replied. Her voice was now clear and smooth, no longer broken by static. In the months since coming to Earth, she had learned how to adjust her speech to sound more natural to human ears. You're 11 minutes later than usual today. Alan laughed. Traffic was bad. Some things never change, even with all our technology. I've been reviewing the designs for my new body, Lyra said. A screen lit up showing several drawings of sleek ships. I liked the third one best. Alan studied the image. It showed a ship that combined the practical needs of human space travel with the flowing natural style of Elran design. It was beautiful. Good choice, he agreed. Have you shown it to the engineers yet? Yes. They say they can build it, but it will take time. Human technology is different from what I'm used to. Alan sat down in his usual chair beside the cylinder. Over the past months, he had become Lyra's main connection to humanity. Part translator, part teacher, part friend. Every day he brought her news, stories, music, and answered her many questions about human life. "How was your meeting with the committee yesterday?" Alan asked. Not everyone on Earth was happy about having an alien intelligence living among them. Some politicians and military leaders worried that Lyra might be dangerous. It was challenging, Lyra admitted. They asked many questions about Ellerin weapons and defenses. I tried to explain that my people were explorers, not warriors, but they seemed disappointed. Alan frowned. "I'm sorry. Some humans always look for threats, even when there aren't any." "It's not so different from some Elora," Lyra said. "Fear is common to all thinking beings, I think." Their conversation was interrupted when the lab door opened and a woman walked in. It was Susan Ward, the head scientist on the project to build Lyra's new vessel. "Good news," Susan announced, smiling. "The committee has approved our design. We can start building Lyra's new ship next month." Alan jumped up from his chair. "That's fantastic. How long will it take?" "About a year, if everything goes well," Susan replied. "It's the most advanced ship we've ever attempted to build. We're using everything we've learned from Lyra about Eloran technology." "A year," Lyra repeated, her voice thoughtful. "That seems both very long and very short after waiting for centuries." "While you wait," Susan added, "we've prepared something else for you." She held up a small device that looked like a remote control with a lens on one end. "This is a mobile projector. It can create a hologram that you can control. It would let you move around instead of being stuck in this cylinder." "Like a temporary body?" Lyra asked, sounding excited. "Exactly," Susan said. "We can connect it to your system today if you'd like to try it." "Yes, please." Lyra's voice rang with happiness. 2 hours later, the scientists had finished connecting the projector to Lyra's system. Alan watched as the small device floated into the air, hovering at about the height of a human. Then a soft blue light began to glow around it, growing stronger until it formed the shape of a woman. The hologram wasn't solid. Alan could see right through it. But it moved like a real person. The face had the gentle features of the Elora that Lyra had shown him, but with some human touches. The glowing figure took a few experimental steps, then turned to look at Alan. "How do I look?" Lyra asked, her voice now coming from the hologram instead of the speakers. "Beautiful," Alan said honestly. Lyra looked down at her glowing hands, turning them over with wonder. "I've never had a body like this before. On my ship, I was everywhere at once, but never in one place." "Is it okay?" Susan asked, watching Lyra closely. "It's wonderful," Lyra replied. She took a few more steps, getting used to walking. Then she turned to Alan and held out her hand. "Will you show me outside? I've only seen Earth through windows and pictures." Alan reached out, automatically, trying to take her hand before remembering she wasn't solid. He laughed. "Of course, let's go for a walk." As they left the lab together, Alan walking and Lyra floating slightly above the floor, he thought about how far they had both come, from a broken ship drifting alone in space to this moment of joy and discovery, from isolation to connection. "There's a garden behind the building," Alan said as they walked down the hallway, nodding to surprised scientists who stared at Lyra's glowing form. "It has flowers from all over the world. I think you'll like it." "I can't wait to see it," Lyra said, her face glowing with excitement. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" "Yes," Alan agreed. "Just the beginning." The day had finally arrived. After 14 months of hard work, Lyra's new ship was ready. It sat gleaming in the morning sun at the Space Center, its sleek shape catching the light like a giant silver bird ready to fly. Alan stood on the viewing platform, watching as workers made final checks on the outside of the ship. He felt proud and sad at the same time, proud of what humans and Lyra had created together, but sad because he knew this day would change everything. "Nervous?" asked Olivia Jones, walking up beside him. Olivia was a star scientist who had been chosen to be part of the crew for Lyra's first journey. "A little," Alan admitted. "It's been almost 2 years since I found Lyra floating alone in space. Now look at her." He gestured at the beautiful ship below them. "She's amazing," Olivia agreed. "And so is this ship. I still can't believe some of the things she's taught us. The medical breakthroughs alone have been incredible." It was true. In the time Lyra had been on Earth, she had shared knowledge that had helped humans make huge steps forward. New medicines, better computers, cleaner energy. All thanks to what? She remembered about Elloran's science. "Where is Lyra now?" asked Peter Kim, the ship's engineer, as he joined them on the platform. "Inside the ship," Alan replied. "She's been there since yesterday, getting used to her new body." Unlike her temporary home in the lab, this ship truly belonged to Lyra. She wasn't just controlling it. She was part of it. Her crystal heart had been carefully placed in the center of the ship, connected to every system. The ship was now her body, just as her old damaged vessel had once been. "Time to board," announced a voice over the speakers. "All crew members, please report to the loading area." Alan took one last look at the blue sky above him, then followed the others down to where a small transport would take them to the ship. 4 humans had been chosen to join Lyra on her first journey: Alan, Olivia, Peter, and Maria Diaz, the navigation expert. When they entered the ship, lights came on automatically, guiding their way to the bridge. The inside was beautiful, with smooth walls in soft colors and comfortable seats that adjusted themselves as each person sat down. "Welcome aboard," said Lyra's voice, coming from all around them. She sounded happy and excited. "All systems are running perfectly." Alan placed his hand on the main control panel, feeling a slight warmth under his fingers. "How does it feel, Lyra?" "Like being whole again," she replied. "This vessel is more advanced than my original Aloran ship. I can sense everything, every system, every part. It's like having a new body with better senses than before." The countdown to launch began, and everyone strapped into their seats. Unlike old rocket ships, this vessel used a new kind of engine that Lyra had helped design. It created a field around the ship that let it slip through space smoothly, without the bone-shaking vibrations of older engines. "Launch in 10 seconds, announced the control tower. 9, 8, 7. As they counted down, Alan thought about everything that had brought them to this moment. A lonely AI drifting in space, a chance discovery, a journey back to Earth, and now, a new beginning. 3, 2, 1, launch. The ship rose into the air so smoothly that Alan could hardly believe they were moving. Through the large windows, he watched Earth getting smaller below them, a beautiful blue and green ball against the blackness of space. When they reached orbit, Lyra spoke to all of them, her voice filled with emotion. "For so long, I drifted, alone among the stars, thinking I would die there, forgotten and abandoned. Then a human found me, not just answering my call, but seeing me as someone worth saving." The ship continued to climb away from Earth, moving faster and faster. "Now we go forward together," Lyra continued. "Not as human and alien, not as people and machine, but as friends with a shared goal. There are so many wonders waiting for us out there, so many new things to discover." As the ship reached the edge of Earth's gravity and prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Alan looked at his fellow crew members. All of them wore expressions of wonder and excitement. "Where to first?" asked Maria, looking at the star chart on her screen. Alan smiled. "The choice is Lyra's. This is her maiden voyage, after all." "In that case," Lyra said, "I would like to go home. Not to stay, there's too much to explore with my new friends, but to visit, to show the Allura that their lost ship was found, and that their AI was not forgotten." "How far is your homeworld?" Peter asked. "With this ship's speed, about 3 weeks' journey," Lyra replied. "And along the way we can stop at a beautiful nebula I once mapped. The colors there are like nothing you've ever seen." "That sounds perfect," Alan said, feeling a sense of rightness about this plan. It would be a journey of healing for Lyra, and of discovery for humanity. As the stars blurred around them and the ship leaped forward faster than light, Alan thought about the strange path that had led him here. A routine survey mission that changed everything. A damaged alien ship adrift in space. And most importantly, the simple choice to answer a call for help. Sometimes, he realized, the greatest journeys begin with the smallest acts of kindness.